So many of us are discussing reparations, and due to the push on social media about reparations, because it's time, because America needs to pay what they owe. You know, these people acting like that, oh, well, you guys just want a handout. No, a handout is giving something that you didn't work for or you did not earn. That's a handout. Now, if you really want to talk about handouts, those people who came over here from European countries got handouts. I did a whole video about this, and I'll make sure to put that video in the pinned comment where it shows how white Americans got ahead, how they were given land, how they was given opportunities, how they was given FHA loans and black people couldn't get them, and how they redlined neighborhoods. I talked about everything in this video, so I'll make sure to link it so you guys can go ahead and watch that video. They are the last people to say anything about any kind of handouts to us. When you owed something that is a debt, you must be repaid. It's just that simple. Now, ever since the conversation came out about reparations, as I stated before, everyone now has a finance degree. Everyone is a financial analyst in the United States of America anytime when it comes to black people. There's not a financial analyst when it comes to others, just us. It's amazing, isn't it? But as I stated before, and I'll keep stating this, the wealth gap that we have was built off of the backs of African slaves. Just that simple. So this big wealth gap is what keeps them in a superiority position in the area of wealth and finance. So if reparations are paid and it closes that gap and brings it to equality, they know that's it, because they know who we are. They know we're going to shine. Now, I know many of you probably have seen that skit from Dave Chappelle where he said, hey, black people got paid reparations, and how, you know, some black folks, right? And I know this skit is accurate because, come on, let's call it what it is. Some black people do exactly like that skit. They be out there buying this, buying that, talking about the stocks going up in certain companies. I think it's funny because we have to be honest about our people, all right? I'm very honest about some of them. But that's not the people they're worried about. They're cool with that group of people that'll go buy the cars and the jewelry and the clothes and all the different things that they'll be doing, right? And giving them the money right back. They don't care about them people. If all of us were like them, they'll be like, oh yeah, give them reparations. We know we'll get it right back. The issue with reparations is that they don't want people who have businesses, people that think like me and you, to get reparations. Why? Because they know that we could finally having the capital we need to grow our businesses, to start businesses, etc. That's what they don't want. They don't want black people to have their own businesses. As long as you are dependent upon them for jobs, then it keeps them in a superior position, the area of wealth. So if more black people had got businesses, they didn't need to work for them, their businesses are shining. And then if we also got on code to say that we don't sell our businesses to nobody except those in the community if we want to get out of it, because that's another thing that we do. We build up businesses and then we sell it to them. I don't understand that, and we have to start speaking against that because they don't sell us anything. They refuse to. So that's another subject that we got to dive into, an area staying on code, even in business. But they don't want us to grow businesses. They don't want us to have businesses, because if we have businesses, they feel that that's taken away from them. That's how they feel about that. Okay. So in order for you to have a permanent underclass, you have to have them stay working for you, not have them create their own businesses and creating their own jobs. The system really wasn't built for that. Now, on the financial analyst standpoint, let's talk about this a little bit. Now, we know the conservative number is $6.4 trillion for reparations, okay? They say that we can't afford that. Why should I have to pay? Well, you know, some people say they come from different countries and they immigrated here, and okay, fine. That's no problem. But when you immigrated here, you immigrated into a system that was built off of African slaves, and because of you are the same color as the people who oppressed us, and you came in underneath those benefits, then hey, you have to join in with the rest of us. You're an American now, right? So when Americans do something, we have to correct things together as a nation. So you shouldn't complain about that. You can't separate yourself from America now. And we're not even addressing you. We're addressing the U.S. government, because they are the ones that had slavery and Jim Crow and all the different things that happened to us. All the wealth inequality was legal. So the conversation isn't an everyday person, and we don't need everyone to agree to this. It's just the fact is, this is something that's owed. This is a debt. It has to be paid. Now, we could talk about ways that the reparations can be paid. Now, many, once again, keep saying that we don't have the money to pay a reparation. Let's put on the screen Exhibit A. So this is from CNBC. As you can see, America has spent $5.9 trillion on wars in the Middle East and Asia since 2001, according to a new study, right? So they state that the wars in Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, and Pakistan has cost American taxpayers $5.9 trillion since they began in 2001, as you can clearly see. Now, they stated that the total is almost $2 trillion more than the federal government's spending during the recently completed 2017 to 2018 fiscal year. So that's almost 20 years, and you spent $5.9 trillion. Where's all those financial analysts talking about that? Where are they at? Telling we can't afford this, and they're not saying anything. So if they have $5.9 trillion and they dispersed it in almost 20 years, then I think that the same thing could happen for reparations. If you take the $6.4 trillion and give it to the American descendants of slaves, guess what? That money will go back into the American economy. That some people just spend money, give it to American companies. People start businesses here in America. So all the money stays home. It doesn't leave outside the United States. Some of it may leave to transact business, but it stays home. So it definitely can stimulate the economy. But you rather, I'm talking about those of you who want to keep the wealth gap, you rather spend $5.9 trillion in wars where it's not actually stimulating the economy, the money not staying home or anything. This is what you rather do. On top of that, they are talking about spending money we won't have. Let's put up Exhibit B. This comes from the United States Agency for International Development. Now, as you can clearly see, and I want to do a stream on all the countries our money is going to. This is during the time of Mr. Make America Great Again. See, they spent $50 billion in 209 countries. Why wasn't you complaining about that $50 billion they spent? You didn't say anything about that at all. Nothing. But you didn't become financial analysts to that. So we could spend $5.9 trillion in the Middle East, and none of that money stays here at home. You could spend $50 billion in 2017 going to 209 countries. You say nothing about that at all. You're not trying to break that down. And then let's talk about Mr. Obama here. Obama, and let's put up the next exhibit, Exhibit C. He earmarked $12 million for Holocaust survivors that was supposed to be dispersed within 5 years to the Holocaust survivors that's here in the United States of America. That's Mr. Obama did that. Okay, this when we say that Obama did for everybody else except black folks, we mean that. We're not just being, trying to be mean to Barack Obama or trying to just drag his name in the mud. That is the actual truth. And because of Barack Obama, it's why black folks are in the position they're in when we upset about a few things and say now it's time for things to be rectified. So when they come to you, brothers and sisters, and tell you about reparations, we can't afford it. No, you just tell them, yes, you can. You spent $5.9 trillion in Iraq. Barack Obama can earmark at least $12 million to Holocaust survivors to be dispersed in 5 years. In 2017, we spent $50 billion, and I actually can go through that all the way back to 2001 when the money started increasing to these 209 countries throughout the world. And also, if you look at the spending they're doing, some of you asked, well, why these African nations can't offer a dual citizenship to African Americans if we want to go over there and stay. Once you start understanding the money that's coming in, now I get it. Because if they start taking us in like that, it's going to piss the United States off. Just like when Haiti, when they had got free, they said that anyone in diaspora can come over here, become a Haitian citizen, and get land. So the United States had occupied them at one point in time, and they wanted them to change that because they didn't want us here in the U.S. to leave to go to Haiti. Understand, they don't want us gone. Like I said, if they wanted us gone, we could have been gone after the Civil War. We could have been gone. Lincoln could have said, okay, y'all free, let's go ahead and ship all y'all back. He could have did that. But always ask yourself that question, why didn't he ship us back? Because they know they needed black people. There's been many writings where they say, we need them. We need them here. And they still like that now. They haven't had a day or a time where we was away from them. And they had to build everything on their own with no one else's help. They always got to have someone else's help to do their society. But when they come up to you with these, we can't afford it. Well, now you see that we definitely can afford a reparation. If they want to come up to you and try to say, well, why should I have to pay it? Well, you didn't complain about the Japanese receiving theirs. You don't complain about Native Americans getting the little bit that they do get once a year. You don't complain about that. You don't complain about anything. So what are you talking about? Anytime it's time for black people to get what they're owed, all of a sudden it's a problem. But let me go back to why it's a problem. Reparations threaten white supremacy in the area of finance. If you close the wealth gap, what good is your supremacy at that point? You're equal now. That's the issue. That is the complete issue. They enjoy, knowing that they can have more advantages than you. When those advantages close, because now you're good. I mean, what is life to live at that point if you don't have your supremacy? It's just that simple. But we must keep pushing. We must keep talking about this, putting the facts in their face and let them squirm and get them to just admit that, no, I just don't want black folks to have nothing because I don't like black folks like that. And that's really what it is at the end of the day, because nothing affects them. If they start paying a reparation, their tax dollars is not going to go up all of a sudden. They're already paying trillions of dollars in wars and their tax dollars isn't going up. So when people say things like that, they just being ugly. That's really what it is. Like people say, I don't want my tax dollars to go to a food stamp. Like what's come out your check for a food stamp don't even come up to $20 a month if you do the research. So what are you talking about? Some people love to talk, but then once you start breaking down the numbers, it doesn't make sense. Like if they're going to take the taxes anyway, what you going to do? You got to pay them. It's the law. Well, leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about this particular numbers that we are focusing on with reparations. They can afford reparations anytime they get good and ready. They can disperse it over 20 years. But it's not just money. And I tell people this, it has to be not only money, a tax-free status. It needs to come along with that. Free college needs to come along with that as well. And also some discussion about land, because they took a lot of land from black Americans. They owe for that land too. They owe for Jim Crow. They owe for, we couldn't even go to a water fountain or eat in a restaurant without being oppressed. So reparations are a little bit just more than just money, but we want to focus on the money aspect because that's what these all so-called new financial analysts is all talking about when we mention reparations. But as we said before, we got to stick to course. And just because you may not get reparations within a year or two, this is a marathon. It is not a sprint, and black folks have to stay the course. We can get to where we need to get to, but you must stay the course on this.